Episode 5: The Rise of a Queen. The name Electra was no longer just a whisper in the dark corners of Rome. It was a force that commanded both awe and fear. From the highest noble to the lowest slave, all knew of the Black Gladiator's daughter, the undefeated warrior, the leader of the most feared gladiator cartel in the empire. She was more than a fighter now. She was power. And even the king knew it. A kingdom in fear. King Maximus had never known true fear until now. He sat on his gilded throne, his once proud frame hunched with unease. For months, Electra's power had grown beyond his control. The gladiators, once nothing more than slaves bound to entertain, had become an army under her command. Merchants and traders sought her favor, the people worshipped her, and even his own guard spoke her name with respect. The throne room was dimly lit, the air thick with incense and the whispers of his advisors. "You must act, my king," murmured Senator Claudius, his voice a blend of urgency and desperation. "She holds more sway over Rome than you do. If you wait too long, she will seize the throne herself." Maximus clenched his jaw. He had spent sleepless nights pondering this. Countless plans, assassins, poison, and ambush in the arena, all failed before they even began. Electra was too powerful, too beloved. If he struck against her now, the people would revolt. He turned his weary gaze to the high priest, an aged man with sunken eyes who claimed to speak for the gods. "What say the gods?" The priest stepped forward, his white robes brushing against the marble floor. "I have spent days in the temple, seeking their will. There is only one path, my king." Maximus leaned forward, his heart pounding. "Tell me." The priest took a breath before uttering the words that would change history. "Crown Electra as Queen of Rome." A stunned silence filled the throne room. The senators looked at each other in disbelief, some muttering under their breath. The king's face darkened. "You dare suggest I hand my empire to the very woman who threatens it?" The priest did not waver. "It is the will of the gods. To deny it is to invite ruin upon yourself and all of Rome. Electra is not just a warrior, she is destiny." Maximus' fingers tightened around the armrest of his throne. The idea was madness. And yet, deep down, he knew the god spoke true. No blade could strike her down. No force could overthrow her. There was only one way to contain her: by making her ruler. A crown for a gladiator. The announcement of Electra's coronation sent shockwaves through Rome. The streets buzzed with disbelief and excitement. Some saw it as the ultimate triumph, one of their own rising to power. Others saw it as blasphemy, a betrayal of tradition. But no one dared oppose it. The grand ceremony was held in the Forum, where thousands gathered to witness history. The air was thick with the scent of burning incense and fresh roses. Golden banners draped over the ancient pillars, and armored guards lined the path leading to the throne. Electra stood at the base of the great steps, dressed in a flowing robe of deep crimson, her wild curls adorned with golden threads. She had spent her life in the sand and blood of the arena. Now, she stood at the threshold of power itself. The king approached, the imperial crown in his trembling hands. He looked at her, not with hatred, not with anger, but with something he never thought he'd feel. Respect.
His voice, steady yet heavy with fate, echoed across the forum. "By the will of the gods and the decree of Rome, I name you Electra, Queen of the Empire." As he placed the crown upon her head, the crowd erupted in cheers. The world had changed in that moment. The daughter of a slain gladiator had risen above all. She was no longer a warrior. She was sovereign. A new reign, a new life. Power changed many men. But Electra was not a man. Her rule did not begin with war, nor with bloodshed, but with transformation. The gladiators, once bound by chains, were given their freedom. The Colosseum no longer ran red with unwilling slaughter, but became a place of skill and honor. The poor, once forgotten, found themselves heard. And above all, she sought peace. For years, revenge had driven her. The ghosts of her past had whispered in her ears, urging her toward destruction. But as she sat upon the throne, with the weight of a kingdom upon her shoulders, she understood something she had not before. Revenge was a fire that never burned out. If she let it consume her, Rome would crumble with her. And so, she chose differently. She sent word to her mother, the woman who had endured so much, and brought her to the palace to rule beside her. For too long, they had been apart. Now, they would build a future together. And as for love, Electra had never known softness, never believed she would have anything beyond the battlefield. But in the quiet of the royal chambers, away from the eyes of the world, she found solace in Cassius, the only man who had ever seen her for more than a warrior. He had been with her in the circus, had fought beside her in the rebellion. And in the end, he had become more than a friend. He became the father of her children. Two boys, fierce and untamed like their mother, grew beneath the golden halls of Rome. They did not know the chains of slavery, nor the cruelty of the arena. They knew only the warmth of a mother who had once been a legend, and a father who had once been a fighter. Together, they built a new Rome. The end of the Beast of Leon. Years passed, and the name Beast of Leon faded into memory. It was spoken only in the stories of old men, in the songs of poets who told of the girl who defied an empire. Electra did not die in battle, nor did she fall to betrayal. She lived. She ruled. She loved. And when her time came, when the weight of years finally pressed upon her shoulders, she stood upon the balcony of the palace, looking over the city she had once sworn to burn. Instead, she had built it anew. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of crimson and gold, she whispered to the wind, "I was never meant to be queen, but I was always meant to be free." And with that, the legend of the Black Gladiator's daughter was complete. Thank you for watching.